I still vividly remember when this like concept kind of finally came together, because we had talked about it when I was graduating, and the timing was crazy because this was just an idea, and I truthfully believe the moment that I knew that this was the thing I had to do was I was driving to Market Basket with Sean Rondo, Rob, I think Charlie was with us, all my roommates from Bentley. Yeah, the whole squad. And this was starting to kind of already come together, but I just remember you calling me and you're like, yo, I just got booked for a tour that was with On Cue, Henderson. And that was kind of the moment where I realized like this was definitely the thing I had to do, because it was seeing somebody like yourself who had put in the work for so long for the music, and now you're getting granted that opportunity. This was just like, man, should I start a podcast, talking to passionate people? I had seen Nathan building, doing clothes. I had seen George modeling. I had seen Zach Renville shooting photos, SK producing, like all these talented Western Mass people doing their thing. And I think that was like the defining moment it was like June, it was like April, May, right before finals week came in. And then I just remember that was like, all right, I'm going to do this. And then that whole summer just kind of working on it.
It also kind of eliminated the idea of you going into a corporate setting, at least immediately.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because, we were only gone for, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
But it still was like, you get a taste of, being on your own time and just kind of doing whatever the fuck you want.
But that gave me hope, because I had something to look forward to. I was graduating and I didn't have any jobs lined up. I didn't have anything I was definitely going to do, but your tour was at the end of June and I was graduating in the beginning of May. So I was like, okay, in 7 weeks, I'm going on a tour for 8 days, but that's something to look forward to. So what am I going to do in the meantime to kill the time to figure that out? And that's when I started slowly putting the podcast together. I was starting to try to figure out some work in Western Mass, and I started working again for my uncle again. But yeah, it gave me like a lead time of like, okay, I have 8 weeks. We're going to go on this tour. And then after that, I'll figure it out. You know what I mean? But
you love that tour too, because I paid for everything for it.
That was great.
So you loved it.
Run the TV, run the tour budget, dude. That was amazing. Me, you, and James packed in my Fusion, dude. That was great. I still loved that was so cool to me, even though I literally had no role on that.
Yeah.
Except driving us from A to B and always asking you like, yo, is this for credit card? Will you run the expense?
Yeah,
the only thing I had to pay for was literally booze if I wanted to drink.
Right,
me and James would get to the destination, buy some 40 ounces and walk around Virginia Beach. I remember we went to Richmond.
Yeah. Sketchy place.
Super sketch. But
I've been to Richmond twice since then. This is completely off topic, but it's not as sketchy as that.
No.
That was just a weird ass pocket, but anyways.
Yeah, that wasn't ideal. But no, truthfully, like that, that tour, and then obviously you have played such a role in getting this thing started, and then obviously really modeling, seeing your success with your own career. I just have always in the back of my mind just known, like, I've seen this process before. I've seen it go from A to Z. I know what it takes. I know there's a whole patience process, but
well, hopefully we're not at Z yet.
Yeah. We're not even there. I feel like we're still at B for me, at least.
Yeah.
You're much more a little bit farther down the line, but you've clearly been putting in more of that time frame.
Yeah. The only difference is I've just been doing it since I was 17.
Yeah.
And I'm 25, 26 now.
Yeah.
So it's like,
it
takes a long time.
Yeah.
So I remember too, that was the first episode was at the end of that tour.
Yeah. Crazy.
Because you were like trying to plan it ahead of time. Mm-hmm. And you're like, I don't know when I'm going to start this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I don't remember where we were going to and from, but I remember you saying like, yo, I'm going to ask somebody on tour to like be the first guest. Mm-hmm. Whether I use it or not, I don't know. I just got to like try the shit out. Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to try to shoot it with Jeremy like when we get home.
Yeah.
And then you did that in your bedroom at your mom's house, at your parents' house. Yeah. And that was just funny to like watch it because I was outside of the door, but like I was just thinking about it. I was like, Bob's in there like
that was the second
throwing shit at the wall. He has no idea what the fuck he's doing.
That was the second thing I had ever recorded because Jack Price, when he came to visit you. It was the
Oh,
first
yeah,
person
yeah.
I ever recorded.
Yep.
Jack Price, he came out from Oklahoma
Yeah.
to work with you for a week. And
Nebraska, but yeah.
Nebraska. My bad. I think you might have thrown out the idea or whatever, but I was like, yo, I'm like about to start this podcast. Do you mind just like sitting down as a mock? And I still have the recording of it. But
Yeah.
we just sat down for the conversation, and then Jeremy ended up being the first episode,
Right.
really the second podcast I had ever recorded. And going into the tour, I think you had mentioned to me like, yo, this could be a potential person, because you had known Jeremy previous.
Yeah, a little bit.
You knew of him, you knew
Yeah.
like his resume. And so to me at the time, that was like to start episode 1 with somebody who had a resume like him, who had been on tour, who had worked with, so many different artists and whatnot. It was like, damn, if I start with this person,
Yeah.
it's only up from here.
Yeah,
There's
'cause
only
I mean-
more room to grow.
The idea for you was just getting a bit of credibility and validation from like someone who's already been working,
Doing it.
at least like in an entrepreneurial way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that was probably a good
It was a great
start for you. It wasn't
It was
like,
great.
yeah, I'm gonna interview my fucking cousin. who-
Yeah.
It's
But
like,
then it's funny, he ended up being the first, and then for like the next 10 episodes, it was then just mutual friends.
Yeah.
So you start off with the first person being somebody I never knew. It was really like the test of, is this something that I could possibly create?
Yep.
And then after him, it rolled out to like you, Nathan. I mean, no, you didn't even come in until, that was like something we had said in the beginning. Like, you're not doing it until you've been in it for a little bit, because it's just like a
Yeah.
cheat code.
Yeah.
And you ended up being like in the 30s. So we're talking literally 5-6 months into it. But yeah, Jeremy was like the first, and then we just started, SK and Nathan and Alex Binchak and just all these people in Western Mass that I saw had something. I saw the what they were working towards, and I knew the way I could package them. That's the entrepreneur, that's the producer, that's the photographer, that's the tour manager. Like that was already the momentum of like, this is what I want to create. I want to create a podcast on all these different stories, and just knowing that I had people in Western Mass to start with.
Yeah.
I was like, I can easily do this.
Well, let's go back a little bit. I mean, I think I know the answer, but I probably know the answer to all of this, to be honest.
Probably.
But
we're just painting the picture.
that's fine.
Yeah.
What made you decide to do a podcast about other people's stories
Yeah.
that are all going to be different from each other, but
Mhm.
alike, I'm sure, in some sense?
Yeah.
People that are entrepreneurial, people that have different passions and purposes.
Yeah.
Because there's a million things you could do a podcast about.
Yeah.
Like,
Could have easily just gone all music, all entrepreneurs.
or you could have just I'm going to do a podcast about one of my hobbies, like
Yeah.
whatever it is, and just talk about that, whether it's guest related or not.
Yeah.
What made you want to be attracted to
Yeah.
other people's things?
Well, I don't even know if you know this. I think you know this, but I literally, when I was putting the idea together of a podcast, the first thing that came to mind was men's health. I was thinking about, I don't even know if I had talked to you about this, but I think I talked about it with Louise, who I lived with at Stratton.
Yeah, I remember this.
But I was like, okay, I want to create a podcast. I want to have a platform where I could speak to the world. Lewis Howes was for sure the inspiration of wanting to start a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I had seen what he had done with School of Greatness. And then I was like, okay, I want to do my own podcast. I want to have a voice in the world. First was giving men's health, talk about like fashion, fitness, women, and realizing that wasn't something that I just knew that to do that on a daily basis and to always
Probably could have been cool, but it probably would have had a ceiling.
Yeah,
at
I
some
would have
point.
burnt out from it.
Yeah.
And going back to like, I'm about to graduate college, I need to find that passion, seeing all these guys I already named doing their thing. I just felt like, how they always say like, if you can't find it, create it. I was looking for that podcast. I was looking for the platform that was interviewing like the young, passionate people. That's why I loved Lewis's pod, because it was like super inspiring.
Right.
People that were killing it, they were crushing it. But they were the Tony Robbins, the Gary V's, the Scooter Brauns, like older. And I still get inspired. I still could learn from it, but I needed something that was more relatable. Somebody in their late teens or like their early 20s.
Yeah.
And so something was just telling me like, you're looking for your passion. You can't find the platform that's telling these stories that you're looking for. You want to start a podcast. You are a people's person. Why not just do it? Like, why not just create the thing you're looking for? And I also too recognize that I didn't want to put myself in a box of the artist podcast, the entrepreneur podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to be able to sit down with people and pick their brains. And I mean, I don't even know if I would call myself a curious person growing up, but starting this, I knew.
No, I think you definitely were, whether you knew it or not.
Yeah, I guess.
Because even like, I mean, we've known each other since we're, 6 or whatever.
Young bucks.
So
Young bucks.
you never had that one thing
No.
that you were like, this
All
is what
in.
I like, this is what I want to do. You were very scattered, which I
Yeah.
mean, there's nothing wrong with that because that's how you find out what you like. You
Yeah.
know? Like, I feel like growing up, I played basketball
Yeah.
only,
Yep.
and I focused on that, and I did that
Yep.
until I got to college, and then that switch turned, and now I do music,
Yep.
and that's my head's down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not as adventurous as you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because I haven't found that. It took me so
I
long.
feel like you played every sport. You
Yeah.
had different type of friends.
Yeah.
You weren't like super all into or great at any sport, but you were like, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna
Yeah.
play on this team. Hang out with these kids. Just be kind of all over the place. You played video games.
Yeah.
Did a bunch of shit, right?
Yeah.
So I think you were probably more curious than you think you may have been just by nature.
Yeah.
And maybe it was just because you didn't
Yeah,
find
when you
something
put it
that
like
you
that,
loved,
now
you
I'm
know?
thinking about it. Like that's true. I tried a lot. I mean, I tried baseball, did that for a year. Tried basketball, tried soccer, tried golf, played video games heavily, like middle school and high school. I always like kept touch with like people at Chicopee Comp, Chicopee High. Yeah, I've worked a lot, so I don't know. I guess you are.
But
right.
it's
Like,
perfect because I think you were a people's person even
Yeah.
when we were 14 and
Yeah.
like no one knows that when we're 14 we're just doing whatever, but you were always the guy like, oh, Bob has a friend at this school or
yeah.
random shit, you know what I mean?
I just always found it super good. I don't know what it was, but I just recognized how important it was to just know a lot of people and keep it cool. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
I remember there was one time somebody, I won't call him out, and I'll tell you after the fact, but like, he's like, if you weren't who you are, I would want to punch you in the face right now. But I was like, damn. I think it was maybe Bob Skorka or somebody else, but like, or I don't know. But there have been times where, I don't know, I just recognize like, just be cool with people. Like, don't, if you have, it goes back to the golden rules. Like, if you have nothing good to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
Those were just true things that I lived by, and I just loved seeing all different sides of people. And I don't know, I think that runs in both sides of my family too, just being a people's. I mean, you would know
Yeah.
more than anybody that's gonna see this or hear this. Like, I've come from a very
Yeah.
family-oriented family.
No, it makes sense that someone with the last name Hobart is interviewing hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it makes sense that it's you. So
Yeah. No, definitely.
you won the contest of the
I'm
Hobarts.
trying, man. I'm trying. Still at that.
So after that tour,
Yep.
you moved to Boston, which
Yep.
is, I mean, we went to school in Boston, but you stayed in Boston, I should say.
Yeah.
Just got an apartment,
Yep.
started driving Uber,
Yep.
like heavy, just to
Full-time.
pull rent, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And then you started really focusing on the podcast and like getting different guests.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, Boston's a big city, but it's not like where we are now.
Yeah.
And there's not a crazy amount of, resources and options in the entrepreneurial world. I mean, there's definitely some,
Yep.
more so than where we grew up, obviously.
Yeah. 100%.
But what was that like for the first year of like, was it easy to find guests or were you just trying to get any and everybody because you were just overly curious?
I think year one for this thing was the hardest because I was going from no responsibility, I'm in college, I'm partying every weekend, time is of the essence, to I graduated college loans are kicking in within 6 months. I have this idea, this concept that I'm just super passionate about all of a sudden, and I understand like the only way this is going to happen is I have to make it happen for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of just putting the pressure on me. It was so hard that year one because I know exactly what I'm trying to create. I was pitching business cards on my Uber. Yo, this podcast is dropping in 30 days, 25 days, 20 days.
Yeah.
It's going to be focused on passionate people, artists, DJs. Like, I'm painting the picture of what it's going to become. And so I knew the vision. I knew what I wanted to create, but I had to go out there and find these people. Like, I was sending random DMs and, reaching out to people that I didn't have any point of contact with. Luckily with Boston, it was like a city where there was a lot of people coming in and out of. You get people from New York City that would come up for a weekend here or there.
Right.
But what was really helpful is we did 2 trips out to LA that year.
Yep.
we also did a trip to New York. You were on tour in that spring, so I was able to, you know, get some
Piggyback on the
people.
travel.
So I could find enough talent through Western Mass in Boston that I wanted to start with, and then, you know, seeing that we were gonna go on tour. I think we went to LA for that January to shoot with like Wazzy.
Yeah.
I came out here with one podcast lined up.
Yeah.
And I left with 6.
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
know.
okay, we're on to something. Those were big.
You were working more than I was that week, and the whole point was for me to come
It
out
was
here.
for your trip, and I was just tagging along.
Yeah.
So like those were big moments, like that coming out here. Noah was able to connect me with, like, Justin Escalona, Madeline Byrne. We ran into Gibson Hazard at that.
Yeah.
Willie B's wine mixer. Got Willie B on the pod. Got Jordan.
Yep.
Got Noah on the pod.
Yep.
So it was like boom. I just got 6.
Gordy.
Huh?
Gordy too.
Gordy. Well, that was trip number 2.
Oh, okay.
So it was trip 1 was those 6.
It's all a blur. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's a blur. We went back to Boston for a couple weeks. Then we went to New York City for your tour. Got Tim LaRue. Got Friendy he used to work for Bape. I
Yeah.
think I got 2 in New York that time. Then we went back to Boston. I had a couple people inbound, and then we came back to LA 3 months after the first trip, and that's when I got Gordy Land.
Yeah.
I got Jit on the track, and then I got who was the other person? One more. But so I got lucky coming out here because I was able to get, you know, 7 or 8 podcasts in that first year that
Yeah, which
kind of
is
gave me
2
some
months of
credibility.
content.
2 months of content, yeah.
Yeah.
Gave me some credibility, but I think year 1 was just super head down, I'm on this uncharted path. I don't know where I'm going, and especially coming from a business school when everybody went into corporate
Yeah.
jobs.
Totally.
I'm that kid that like is driving Uber, trying to create something. And just luckily, I believed in it. You know, I kept seeing you succeed. You were getting these, you know, you were keep doing your thing. I was seeing other people in our lives that were doing well. And I just, honestly, the 3 people I have to credit that first year was, 1, Lewis starting the podcast. He helped me get it. I always tell these 3. The Drama started his podcast before I had even launched mine. Short story long. So I was seeing him stay consistent. That was like the pressure on me. If I see him consistently delivering, I need to. And then thirdly was Gary V's content. Every single day,
Yeah.
I was just bumping his content.
Oh yeah,
And-
I know. You were sending me clips every
Huge.
fucking 2 hours.
And then right before we move out to LA, where do we go? We go to New York for a music video for you, and that's when we ended up at VaynerMedia for Tyler Babin's podcast. So it was year 1 was like huge because
Yeah.
I had to build something. I had to build something from the ground up, and I had to prove to myself I could deliver on this. And then, you know,
And I might be wrong, because actually the first year of the podcast is probably the least me and you saw each other for a
Yeah.
whole year,
yeah, because I was living in Boston and
and I was back home.
yeah,
So growing up, we were always together, like
Yep.
together every day or every weekend or whatever. And
Drive
now we
around
fucking
slaying
live. Now we
tickets.
live together.
so we were slaying tickets.
So
in
like
the
I
Honda
see
Accord.
the day to day, like every
yeah,
day.
yeah,
So Bob, before year 1 of the podcast, and Bob at the beginning of year 2, when we came here, is like a different guy. So I
What do you
think
think was the biggest difference?
I think most of year 1 was just you building your perspective and convincing yourself that you can do something
yeah,
bigger than yourself.
yeah,
Because I think that was always the biggest thing. Like you never found what it was, but also I don't know if you ever had the confidence within you to be like, I'm just gonna put myself out there and I don't give a fuck.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So like now, you're just like,
we're shooting content in our living room.
You're
This
just
is like second nature.
all right, dude, I just got to do this. Like,
Yeah.
if it fails, then whatever, we do another one. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Before, I don't think you had that. And that first year of seeing it and seeing, you know, small wins and baby steps in the right direction, and a lot of things not probably work out.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's just learning the physical like software
Yeah.
of recording and like doing videos.
Thank God I had you as the audio
Yeah, you didn't know
engineer,
what the
bro.
fuck
I skipped a lot of steps, man. I had you as an audio engineer, man, because I was.
But even still, like I don't do none of that shit for you now.
Yeah.
You know, that first, you know, couple months. Yo, how do I turn this on? What button do I press? I'm just like, Jesus, dude. You ever heard of Google?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I think all of that, once you got through that stage of like, all right, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I've done, 20 episodes. I can do this shit. Like,
Yeah.
I just got to find the right people, keep hammering this home.
Yep.
that I don't know what day it was or whatever. It was probably more gradual, but there was some switch that flipped for you, and it was
Every
cool to see
week
that.
I felt more confident because I had more delivered. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like,
So it's like
the first
anything.
episode to the 10th, I was like, okay, I got 10 episodes. Now I got 20. Now I got 30. You know?
Totally.
So every time I'd get just one more out there, I felt weight off my shoulder because I was like, I'm delivering on the vision. Especially when I would get like a different story of something that was more unique or something I had never covered before. It felt great because
Yeah.
it was like,
I'm gonna learn something new.
I'm gonna learn something new, and now I have more to my resume. I have
Yeah.
not just like artists, DJs, and producers. Now I have entrepreneurs. Now I have somebody in health. Now I have a guy who runs a nonprofit. Now I have a professional NBA player. You know, so
Right.
every time I've gotten a different, unique story, it feels great because I'm like widening who I can sit down with, and that's
Yeah.
always been the thing of like, as I said, I wanted to keep this wide, and I wanted to just. I don't want to be put in a box of like he only interviews these people. He only interviews that people. I want to be able to sit down with anybody that I want
Yeah.
and sit down and have a conversation with. But yeah, it was just head down. I mean, year one was definitely I felt like it was the make or break. You know, it was like I either do this shit or I don't.
Yeah.
And if I want it, I got to do it.
Right.
And then it was a great way to celebrate because literally the 1 year marker was the day I packed up my car to move out here.
That's what I was gonna ask. It was like really close to that.
It was
the exact day.
I dropped the 1 year 1 year anniversary that Mason had came out and shot who we
Oh
met
yeah,
on
yep,
tour.
yep.
Literally dropped it and got in my car and drove and started the road trip. It was the same day, August 31st.
Yeah, I guess I didn't
Never
realize
forget
that.
it. August 31st, 2017. My sister and my parents packed up the car. They drove down to South Carolina to move her in.
Right.
And I was packing my car. And then later that night, I picked up Evan Healy.
What a day at the Hobart residence.
Oh, dude, my parents were probably bawling their eyes out
Waterfalls.
driving my sister down to
Yes.
South
Like,
Carolina.
you know the cartoons, like the Japanese cartoons?
Yeah.
There's just like water flying out of their eyes.
Meanwhile, I pick up Evan at Peter Pan bus in Springfield, Mass. And me and him were just like, all right, let's go to LA. And just freaking road tripped all the way out to.
Yeah. And I was already here because I fucking flew.
Yeah. Well, you know what killed me was that I left before you and you got here before me.
Oh, way before
I was like,
me.
all right, peace, bro. And then 2 days later, you probably flew over us. I'm like, Dylan's somewhere.
No,
above
not
us.
probably.
Yeah.
That happened.
Yeah.
That for
So
sure
that
happened.
was, that was tough, but yeah. No,
Well, I didn't think it was tough. I thought it was easy.
No, yeah.
I thought it was fine.
Yeah, it was easy for you. 7 days for me, though.
So, yeah. So once we got here, I mean, I'm sure a lot of the first couple months, I mean, I know for me it was a lot of just like getting accoladed to a new lifestyle. Shit's more expensive.
Yeah.
You know, we have a whole crib to ourselves.
Yeah.
Said like I was at my parents' house after school. You were in like a tiny ass apartment with 4 dudes.
Yep.
So it's like it's a different lifestyle.
Oh, yeah.
Out here. So I'm sure a lot of it was like just getting accustomed to that.
Yeah.
But you know, you never stopped the pod. There was really no break,
No.
right? Other than like your travel time.
Yeah, I took a 2-week pause.
And that was just traveling and
Yeah.
getting this couch and you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
regular life things. But there was no like pause button.
Yeah.
So how was it finding guests here? Like, what did you look at anything from a different lens? Like,
Yeah, I looking back on it now.
wait,
well,
hold on, sorry, not to cut you off.
Mhm.
When we got here, you always shot in your room though,
Always have. Yep.
but you didn't have the sign.
I didn't have the sign.
You had a
it was
white wall.
It was just a poster that I literally brought out from Boston. I brought
Right.
the same poster. And then Gibson Hazard was the first podcast I shot out here. So I knew that he ended up being the first guest. We hit the ground running, and he had done so much work in the 6 to 8 months since we had last spoke. Or actually, yeah, it was
Oh,
like
'cause
8
that was the
months.
second time on.
Second time on.
Gotcha.
And he had crushed it. We sat down. That was the first podcast I had done there, and it was like, okay, I gotta hit go. But what happened when that podcast rolled out? I ended up getting a follow from Nolan Smith, Super Duper Kyle's manager.
Yep.
And that's when I reached out to him. I was like, yo, I'd love to get you on a pod. He's like, yeah, let's do it. So within 2 to 3 weeks of being in LA, I was already getting somebody of his scale who we had grown up listening to. Kyle. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I just got to LA. I'm bringing in Kyle's manager. What is this year gonna look like?
Yeah.
And LA.
You thought you were gonna have Oprah by week 10.
Oprah's coming through. But LA, that year, that first year in LA, year 2 of the pod, is when I planted the seed
Yeah.
and I grew because there was no distractions. There was
Yeah.
nobody hitting me up. I had a year under my belt of the pod, and I was starting to become confident of just putting myself out there. Because year 1 was just podcasts, and mostly was just audio. There was no visual.
Yeah.
And then I got here, I started doing like the brain food videos in the garage.
Yeah.
Every week I dress up and like talk about a different subject. Then I started doing I did another series in there.
Oh, I see it. Or the way I see it.
Yep, the way I see it. Then I was starting to do like the journey vlog of like every Sunday creating a vlog somewhere out in LA.
Yeah, you did a lot of experimenting with
I started
different content.
all different types of content, and always still,
It became more of like the Bob A brand
Yeah.
instead of just,
Yeah.
here's my podcast, listen to it.
Yeah, year one was Purpose in the Youth podcast, growing that brand. Year two was still growing it, but then that's when I started to find my voice as like the bearded man, like the
Yeah.
favorite podcaster, the favorite Uber driver. That's when I got the sticker from Uber saying top 2% Uber driver.
Oh, yeah.
It was sometime in year two, but yeah, I mean, it was such a
That's
clear,
nuts, though.
The top 2%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so far it's a flex.
I think about that sometimes. I'm like, this dude's really like good at driving Uber. I mean, that
Yeah.
sounds fucking stupid, but it's like
18,500 rides right now.
18,000.
500. Yeah. Yeah.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that.
That's a lot of rides. A lot of different people. Yeah. That's a whole nother piece that we were talking about earlier. But yeah, 18,500 rides. Crazy.
Wow.
But that gave me that's the whole thing, man. Is like Uber has always given me that flexibility to prioritize all the podcasting, all the creating.
Yeah.
Like some days I wasn't in the mood to create, so I just go drive. And then some days I'd wake up super inspired and I have an idea for something and I just go out and create it. There wasn't
Yeah.
anybody holding me back or
Yeah,
job
just
or
schedule wise.
anything. But yeah, I don't know. There were so many other wins in year two of guests. Yeah, there was a lot. But I feel like looking back, year two has been every year has obviously played a role, but year two was really about me finding my voice, and there hasn't been any side distractions. You know what I mean? Like in Boston, I was still getting pulled, come out to this birthday party, come out to this club, blah, blah, blah. But
Yeah.
out here, I always tell people it's like,
Because it was like still your college
Old stomping
friends.
grounds, yeah.
I mean, also, you were 22, 23.
yeah, I'll still let
So
it
it's
fly.
people around that age are more likely to just kind of hang out.
Yeah.
They're in their first year of
Yeah.
working, just being young, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Which
Yeah.
is it's natural.
And that
I
was
think that's part of it too. It's just like we're older now, so like
yeah.
a lot of our friends are like, all right.
Everyone's kind of figured out their
Let's get
lane.
to this,
They're
like,
doing their
what are we
grind.
doing?
They're
Yeah.
finding their hustles.
Especially our friends here,
That's the thing.
you know.
Anybody that hits me up that lives in LA right now, if they're like, yo, we're going to do this thing tonight, you want to go? I'm probably going to want to do it because it's people that are passionate.
Yeah.
They're crushing it within their own lanes. I'm probably going to benefit. Like last weekend, I went to, Yes Theory screening, always going to go to something for them related because their community they've built is just so positive. I still got to bring you to one of their events, but like I just always feel so inspired and I connect well with people. And then the next night we went to Cousin Sid's album release party. Another great environment, great people.
Yeah.
We both ran into people that we knew. So whenever I get invited to things out in LA, I'm 99% of the time going to say yes because
It's more of a networking thing.
Yes.
And like, planting seeds on relationships or strengthening them.
Yeah.
Rather than, let's just go fucking get drunk and
Yeah.
hang out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I learned the lesson the hard way. The first night out, we went out in LA and I was like,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Never, I'm done. That was a one and done. It was a great lesson. I literally blacked out. We went to the Roxy. It was just like an epic night. The next morning.
You don't gotta tell me.
And yeah, we won't get into the details, but the next day you're telling me all the people that were there, and I realized like, okay, I now live in LA. I was just in an environment of a lot of people that I could potentially podcast with and network with, but because
Yeah.
I was too caught up in drinking and boozing, I missed those opportunities. Never again am I allowing this to happen. And
Yeah.
it's literally been almost 2 years, and that's never happened
Yeah.
since. So it was a good lesson to learn.
Not out of control like that.
Yeah, no, I know how to balance it. Before it was
Yeah.
just, it was so much emotion. I'm living in LA. I've always wanted to
Yeah,
live
you were
here.
just hype as shit.
I was way too hype.
And we get off the club, we get out. I still remember this. I can remember your face, like looking at me. We get out of the club, and I'm like, all right, bro, I'm about to call the Uber. We got to get the fuck out of here. It's like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
You're like, bro, why don't you just drive us? Meanwhile,
Yeah.
I've never had a driver's license before.
No.
We didn't have a car there because
No.
we Ubered there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Bob, we don't have a car here. We're calling an Uber.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't understand why you don't just drive us, bro. Stop being a pussy. I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
there's no car ever. Like, we got to go home.
Yeah.
You're like, all right. And then you know.
Then we got back.
Shit was
Yeah, that was a rough start.
good times
Definitely.
for you. So yeah, I mean, year 2 was probably a nice like stepping stone and just like strengthening everything.
Yep.
What do you think? Now we're coming up at the end of the 3rd year. What do you think the biggest difference between year 2 and year 3 were, if any? You think it was better, worse?
Yeah.
I'm sure you learned a ton. That's always going to happen, but
Yeah.
I'm just curious because it seems like you would have the same opportunities
Yeah.
again. So like, how were you able to like capitalize on those, or
Yeah.
or didn't you?
I think year 3, I finally really started to find my lane as like a creator and as what I want to do moving forward. Like I definitely find myself in more of like the documenting type content. Like I want real shit. I want authentic stuff. I don't want anything that's, I found my lane. I don't know. I started doing like solo podcasts now. I've done the group episode podcasts, obviously interview podcast, the What They Don't See, going into creative spaces series.
Yeah.
I feel like year 3, I found what I'm supposed to create, and now it's just about doing that continuously. Like keep doing that type of content. I mean, the opportunities that, I think the other thing too is I used to be so, I'm starting to become a lot looser with perfection, like obviously I want to deliver quality content. I want to deliver quality product, but I think for a lot of those first 2 years, I was so like, man, I got to do this. I got to do that. Like this
Right.
isn't perfect. The sound's off, this, that, and everything. It's like sometimes it's actually better when it's a little bit more raw. Like, there was a solo pod I put out last week, and I stumble on a couple words here and there, and most times people would cut that and they would reshoot it. But I was like, I actually like that I stumble, because I want people to see like he screwed up on those words and he still put it out.
Yeah.
Like he's not overthinking it, So I think more so now it's like I found the content I want to create. I'm continuously growing like the people that I'm building with.
Yeah.
Obviously the product is getting bigger because I've done it so many times. I mean, we're at over 100 episodes, 4 group episodes, probably 40 plus solo pods.
Yeah.
I've done huge with like the behind the scenes type content, showing people the real authentic, bringing guests in and out. We did the What They Don't See, going into like the creative spaces. So I find I feel confident with any opportunity where you can put me in a room with somebody, you can put me in the middle of a crowd of people. I feel like I'm still got a lot to grow, but I feel like year 3 was about pushing outside the comfort zone and still trying to build,
Yeah.
stronger relationships with the people that I've already established relationships with. And
I think I was going to say that at some point. I think that's one thing that you've done a great job at, is like maintaining a relationship without ever
overstepping.
doing too much or doing too little. Like you're not obviously like famous or like some huge like personality, but everyone that knows you and is in your not even like inner circle, but anyone that has worked with you in some capacity or even just met you, like has respect for you and what you do, because they know that you just like understand what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
And that's like more valuable than any stats on the screen or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because you could have 1 million subscribers, but if you're a jackass, it's only gonna last so long. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I've always told people. It's like, don't even look at the numbers, the plays, this number of followers on my Instagram, whatever you want to look at. Don't look at the numbers. It's the quality of people that I build relationship with. I mean, I don't know how the hell I pulled this off, but like some of the people I've sat down with have sold their business for $100 million. Have had their own shows on MTV. Have worked with Justin Bieber. Have designed and have done some incredible things. And it's like, it's not about the numbers. It's always been about the intent. And I'm so good at I recognize it. Like, it's truthful. Like, I just know how to establish a relationship, deliver a great experience that they don't forget. They leave, the pod rolls out, and I don't ask for anything. I'm not bugging them a month later. Yo, can you connect with this person? Yo, can you connect with this person? Or like, when I see it's their birthday, I'll shoot them a happy birthday text. Or I see they like do something dope, I'll send them a text, congratulations. Yeah. And most people are like, okay, here comes the ask. He's like congratulating me on my recent project. And now he's gonna ask me for a favor.
Never. Yeah.
Ghost. I have it when people text me, yo man, how's everything? And I'm like, okay, good. How you doing? Good. And I'm like, okay, what's the ask? Here it comes, the right hook. Yo man, I'm looking for this. I'm about to start a podcast. Yeah, it's like cool, but I love that.
Yeah.
I would love to see the face on the people that when I send the congratulations text, the happy birthday text or whatever, like just trying to keep the relationship going. But that's one thing I just you got to let that shit marinate, like
For sure.
and it full circles. You just have to trust and believe it, and it's that patience game. I mean, I know I'm preaching to the choir.
Well, you started this sentence with "I don't know how," and then you just answered exactly how, because that's why you're able to connect with all these people. It's because you have the right intention.
Yeah.
So it's credit to you. You know what I'm saying? It's people didn't just fall out the sky and they're just think you're fucking cute and they're like, yeah, let's be friends with this guy.
Got a great beard. Gotta be friends with him.
It's because you get it and you have the right intention. Like I said, you know, like you start a conversation because you care about the story and you're genuinely curious about it, not because this guy's gonna give me 10,000 extra views on my Instagram or whatever. Yeah, it's like, yo, I think this dude is doing something cool. I want to dive into it, give him an opportunity to like share his perspective. Yeah, like out of all the guests you've had, sure, there's a bunch of people that are super successful, super connected, even rich or whatever. But there's also just as many or maybe even more people that are just starting, that are just dope, that you just like. Yeah. And that speaks to like, you're not just like chasing the clout. No. You know what I'm saying? And that's obvious. Yeah. So that's why people give you a positive response like almost all the time.
Yeah, it's always been just about the story. And the only benefit of getting people that maybe have like the crazy followers, it's not about the actual number of followers. It's about why do they have that many followers? Oh, it's because of the credibility that they have. It's about everything that they've accomplished, Getting some of the bigger guests, the beautiful thing for me is like there's so much to dig into that it gives us so much more to talk about. And that's always been the motivator for me. It's not they have 100,000 followers on Instagram. Like, that's cool. But why do they have 100,000? Oh, because they've done X, Y, and Z. Wow, we're going to have so much to talk about. You know? So it's never been about the followers. But, of course, like, picture perfect world, every guest I interview has 1 million followers. But
of course, yeah, because it's going to reach more people.
That's the problem, is too many people, that's what they're all concerned about.
It's more of a bonus than
exactly
like the main focus
point. More eyeball
point.
is great, but I've always been just like, it's always been about the story, and it's been about why do they do what they do, and how did they get there, and trying to just paint that picture.
Because I've had, we'll have conversations after you shoot one or whatever, and it's like some guest that you're stoked about, and they have a big reach, and then next morning or whatever, I'll be like, yo, how'd the pod go? And you be like, I don't know, it was all right. I feel like I dropped the ball. Yeah. I didn't do my best. When most people just be like, dude, this shit's about to like get 1,000 plays in like first day, so I don't give a fuck, it's gonna be tight. Yeah. But then there's plenty of other ones where it's like, you didn't even know who the guest really was. It was kind of just like, oh yeah, I reached out to this person, they hit me back. And then I go, how's the pod? They're like, dude, it was so sick. I learned X, Y, and Z. Yeah. This girl does this and that. Yeah. She's so cool. Yeah. Whatever it is. And she has 3,000 followers or whatever. Yeah. So it just speaks to like the authenticity of like why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah. I've always been my biggest critic. I've always just want to make sure that people like come in here, and I just want to make it something that they never forget. I don't want to waste people's times. I've been on the opposite end where somebody's running late, or they, first question they ask me in an interview is like, so where are you from? It's like, you could have just Googled it, lead.
Dude, I've done a lot of those.
It's like, I'm preaching to the choir once again, but it's just, that's one thing I just, from start to finish.
So, what kind of music do you make?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's like,
I'm done here.
Yeah, like, come on.
Mentally,
where did you go to school? I don't know.
I've checked
Go to
out.
my LinkedIn and check for literally 30 seconds, and you'll see where I went to school. But, yeah, just trying to be super genuine, super authentic, and super real with people.
I think you've done a good job.
Thanks, man.
So what's year 4 look like? I want an exact calendar down to the day.
Yeah. Day by day.
Yeah.
Year 4, I gotta, it's tough. Year 4 is obviously going harder on all the stuff I'm already doing, keep building up more podcasts and all that great content. I think I've found, like I said, I want to do more group episodes. I want to do more solo interviews. I want to put out more solo pods of just me. I want to do more what they don't see, going out to like people's spaces. But I think like those are already in motion, right? Like
Yeah.
I've added each one slowly but surely. I know how to operate. I know how to prepare for it. I know how to execute it. I know the steps. Now the big thing is figuring out how to turn this into a living and how to, I'm not saying year 4 by the end of the year I need to be living full time off this, but I need to really start figuring out how do I turn this into a business? How does this go from just a passion project to something I can do full time? And it's not about like making money so I can go out and buy shit or
Yeah,
nothing's
just so
gonna
you can
change.
make
It's just gonna
as
be,
much
I'm
as
gonna
you
be able
want.
to spend more time and create even more and start, paying a production team and start paying people that have been helping me create this stuff at a larger scale. And I think that's the biggest thing right now is trying to do it. And I know it's like I see it. You're 10 years in the game. I see other people that I interview and they've been doing their thing, for 7-8 years, and they're finally now just living full time. I know it takes time, and I know it's gonna happen. It's inevitably gonna happen. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah.
But if I had to, if what my main focus for year 4, everything else is already growing. The content's gonna keep growing. Now it's just about how do I start scaling this and turning this into a business, or what does that next step look like for me? Because I'll keep driving Uber until the wheels on my car fall off, till the engine blocks.
Which might be soon.
We're at over 100,000 miles on that thing. But year 4 is just about pushing the envelope and trying to find ways to monetize. Because I've been very not putting my foot on the gas for that for the last 3 years, because
Yeah.
I need to build something. I need to learn the process of all this stuff.
Yeah, you need a proof of concept.
Exactly. And I think now I have the credibility and I have the skill sets to do this.
Yeah.
And hopefully bring value to other people. And trying to figure that out.
I think this next year for you is all about just the strategy.
Yeah.
That should be your main focus on how do I do more
Yeah.
by doing the same thing I'm already doing.
Yeah.
Maximizing your
Yeah.
reach and value,
Yeah.
because you're already doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you'll figure it out. It's obviously tough, but
Yeah. It's gonna happen.
it'll come.
It's gonna come.
Year 3 in LA too,
Year 3 in LA.
which is crazy.
Yeah. 2 years at the content crib.
Feels like we just got here.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's time it's flown being here.
Time flies when you're having fun, and when you're not having fun.
Yeah.
It just always flies, because that's how clocks work.
Yeah. Yeah. Also because of the weather too. It's always just sunny out here. It feels like one big year.
I was looking at the Instagram post that you told me to look at. Someone asked, what is your... I think they first complimented you on being so positive and driven, which you definitely are. And they wanted to know if you have any bad habits still, or were you able to kick all of them?
Yeah, it's like
Or are you just perfect?
No, it was like I was saying, I am my biggest critic, and
Yeah.
I think that's. I think everybody is their biggest critic, but that is my bad habit, and I'm trying to get my. There's this inner voice that we all have that's talking in our head. Everybody has it. It's I call it the inner devil, the inner demons, right? And it's if you can get the inner demon to shut up. I literally wrote a blog called Operation Inner Demon or something like that, and I talk about how we all are training Navy SEAls.
Sounds dark, dude.
Yeah, and we need to go out there and kill the inner demon, but I think
That's that slithery Satan,
Slithery Satan. I think that's my weakness is I have to get rid of the inner voice in my head, and just sometimes I correlate success to financials of I'm not making a living doing this yet, so I'm not successful. But when I look at I've executed on the vision that I've had, I'm extremely successful.
Yeah.
So if I just strip away that thought process of saying I'm not financially there yet, so I'm not successful. It's not true. But I just think that is the one weakness is just being my own biggest critic, which is a blessing and a curse.
This is gonna sound weird, but I'm almost glad that you're realizing that before you do have the money.
100%.
Because then you would be like, look at me, I'm successful.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that make a lot of money
Yeah.
that are not successful because they're not doing what they set out to do,
Yeah.
and they're not happy with anything they're making,
Yeah.
which fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I'd rather be us. You know what I'm saying?
I know, and I keep telling myself this. It's like even the last 3 years of like this hustle and grind, and you know, any dollar that I can scrap up, I'm like, dude, I see $1 on the ground, I'm like, let's fucking go, give me that dollar. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pumped. If somebody gets me a 5-minute Uber, I'm fired up.
Yeah.
I'm like looking at these years as training so that when I do cut a check and I start making a living and making lots of money doing it, nothing in my lifestyle is gonna change. Like if you literally pass me a check right now for $100,000, I mean, aside from like needing to pay off college loans, my car loan, all that other stuff, like I'm keeping it super key. Like I've grown to appreciate what the money can do for you, and nothing in my lifestyle would change except the scale of which I'm creating. I'd be able to spend more time investing in that stuff, but I'm not gonna go out and buy things. You know,
you just get to execute your ideas better.
Exactly. So
that's all it is.
As much as this whole process of trying to find a way to make a living doing what you love, at the same time, it's like I've grown to appreciate money so much more, because when the time comes, I'm not going to be an idiot. Like, of course, I'm going to enjoy myself, and when I can go travel, I'm going to travel. But I've realized my true happiness is from experiences. Last weekend, the Yes Theory, the Cousin Sisport, I felt great. I didn't make any money, spent money the entire time, but I loved it.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful that I figured that out, that it's not things in life, it's the experiences that bring me the most happiness. Everyone's different.
And it's easy to say that when you don't have the money.
Yeah.
You know, like us, like we're just some fucking broke dudes just making it work.
Yeah.
But I think both you and I actually do like believe that.
Yeah.
And it's gonna like be obvious.
Yeah.
Once we do have the money.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of examples around us, good people that have had financial success and are free to do kind of whatever they want in some degree, but they're still humble, hungry, just down to earth. Like, they're not wilding out like they could if they wanted to, you know, like, because they don't, it just comes down to like what you value and what you like to do, like, you know.
Yeah.
And both of us are real simple, so
I would definitely agree with that.
we're gonna be fine.
We're gonna be just fine.
Just gotta get this money, Bob.
Get that cheddar, Bob.
Where is it at? It's everywhere. That's the problem.
Yeah. We touched on a lot.
I think that's it for here. I don't know. Should we go in another room or?
I mean, we touched on a lot.
Pause.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on everything here. I don't. If there's any other question you have, great.
I think that's it. Let me look at my phone real quick, but I kind of freeballed it.
Yeah, we definitely touched on everything.
Pause again.